Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United in the Europa League. It's what we do best. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Joe Smith.
Yep.
Joe, are you looking forward to United's trip to San Sebastian?
Can't wait. Is it's what we do best a new addition to your "this is it, this is the big one" catchphrase?
I don't think it'll work for anything else. I think I can get away with this a little bit because we're on a bit of a run in the Europa. But if I say it's the Premier League, it's what we do best, people are going to laugh at me when they look at the Premier League table, and they might even laugh at me saying this after the Sociedad game, to be fair.
Well, I'm very excited for this game, and people say, don't they, that San Sebastian is one of the greatest food cities in the world.
Really?
Yeah, and I think
is it better than Earlham?
It's better than Earlham.
Has it got a drive-through Greggs?
I don't think it's got a drive-through.
Well, it's not better than Earlham, then, is it?
That's
so get your facts straight.
That's true. I mean, it may be one of the best food cities in the world, but I think we'll have a feast for the eyes this Thursday, Jay, as Manchester United take on Sociedad. Carry on.
I love feasting me.
Yeah.
Right, enough of this nonsense.
Okay.
This is our last hope, though. All joking aside, the season is. I said after the Fulham game, the season is almost a disaster, and people in the comments saying, Jay, it is a disaster. And the only reason it's almost is because we've still got the slim chance of winning the Europa League, which would get us into the Champions League and would be, you know, a good trophy to win as well. Yeah. So there's no sugarcoating it. This is the season. This is it, innit?
This is it. This is the big one.
It's like...
It actually is. Yeah, statistically speaking, United have got a 0.01% chance of getting top four. Yeah. However, we're one of the favourites for this competition, which is essentially amounts to the same thing in terms of Champions League qualification. It's absolutely massive. And we'll get to predict 11s and stuff as well. But the fact our injury list at the minute is not good, and it's actually the worst it's been all season. Last year it was absolutely injury ravaged from basically start to finish, was horrendous, wasn't it? Especially in defence. This season it's been a lot more gentle until now. Like, I think we found out Maguire and Ugarte have been injured as well since the last game. Obviously, Ahmad and Mainu and a few others are out as well. It's a real problem that we've got in terms of injuries at the moment. And the fact that this is our last hope, tied and paired with the fact that we're playing against the sort of team that United struggle against, and we'll talk about that when we get to the opposition, I'm very worried about this. And I just hope we can put in one of these kind of gutsy, low quality but at least hard working performances that can keep us in it to bring it back to Old Trafford. I think it's a huge game, a huge game.
It is, and what worries me is I feel like this might almost be our best chance of winning the game is away. Yeah. Because at Old Trafford, our performances and results have been even worse at times than they have away from home. I know we're not exactly flying away from home, but if you were to look at our best games this season, our best performances, then they probably all come away from Old Trafford. Yeah. I'd argue that the Anfield draw, the City win, and the win at the Emirates were probably three of our better performances. Obviously, we've had some wins in Europe away from home as well. I know we've had wins at Old Trafford. So it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's not like we can go, oh yeah, everything's, you know, great away from home. But I just think that our form at home in particular is so bad that I'd hate for us to go into this game or come out of this game having lost and needing a big game and a result at Old Trafford.
I don't see it at all.
Like, it's just, I don't want to be too negative, but yeah, I feel like we have to get something out of this game. We really do. Talk about trust. Yeah. I mean, this is a sort of, it feels like we're in the whole, you know, never-ending sort of cycle of trust the process. This is, you know, we have to give the manager time. He knows what he's doing. He's inherited a mess. We seem like we go through this all the time, but I do believe that with Ruben Amorim. I do think that you do have to get behind this manager. Yeah. You do have to trust what he's trying to do. You do have to believe in the system that he's implementing, even though more and more people seem to be questioning it.
Yeah, we spoke about this the other day, didn't we, off air, about there's basically a kind of a 4-point plan as to the life cycle of a Man United manager. It starts off, which is, and that is, these players are crap, we have to trust the manager. Just get rid of anyone you need to, just support the manager. Okay, that's number one. Stage 2 is, well, you know, maybe he's struggling to sort of get his tactics across to the players a little bit. Okay, give him more time. Stage 3 is he's not getting his tactics across, but also, are they any good? And the 4th stage is he's sacked. Like, basically, we repeat that circle, because we got to the point with Ten Hag where at the start it was like, get him who he wants, then you get who he wants, and then it's, well, why isn't he getting them to play better? Well, then it's, we need, they're not understanding his tactics, and then it's, they are understanding his tactics, and his tactics are just crap. So we're kind of at the minute going from, we're just leaving get him who he wants. Most people are still there, but some people are just leaving that and are now entering towards why can't he get him playing? And I just hope that people do trust him, and we do trust the fact that we've won every game in Europe since he got here, some of them unconvincingly, or most of them unconvincingly, admittedly, but also the fact that he's a very good manager. We have to remember that, and if we do go out in this tie, we're going to have a long time left this season. I know it's felt like a long, slow season, but mid-March to the end of May is a very, very long time to be basically hopeless. It's going to be really difficult. So I think we have to trust the manager, and the players have to trust him as well and get a big win, because otherwise it's going to be awful between now and the end of May. Yeah,
I don't even want to think about it. I can't think about that, to be honest with you. No. Like you say, it's just going to be, it's going to be catastrophic. It's going to be so toxic. It's going to be, the fans are going to be fuming. Some of the fans are going to be sort of running out of patience and questioning everything. I know that the Glazers, obviously, and rightly so, have brought the brunt of the frustration, anger, and Ineos as well with some of the moves they're making. But sooner or later, people are going to start looking at the manager, and going, I think the fans will stay with him for a lot longer than Ineos will. My worry is Ineos, are they going to be trigger happy? Hopefully it won't come to that. Hopefully we'll win the Europa League and we'll look back at this as the start of the Amorim era. Yeah. You just do worry, don't you? You just fear the worst as a Manchester United fan at the minute. It's hard not to. Let's get into predicted 11s then. Yeah. Give us your I mean, it's slim pickings, innit, and who's available. Yeah. I mean, we've got basically an entire team injured. Yeah. I think if you go through the amount of players that are injured, you've got Martinez is out, Maguire's out, Mount's out, Mainu's out, Ahmad's out, Ugarte's out, Bayandé's out. Yeah. It's just, there's like, it never ends. The one plus is that Patrick Dorgu obviously isn't suspended for this, because his suspension is only for domestic games. Yeah. So he's expected to come back into the team. But I'm struggling to see too many positives. We got the news just before we started recording that Manuel Ugarte and Harry Maguire were both absentees, and it's just, it feels like the manager can't catch a break. Throw into the mix as well the fact that Chido Obi can't feature because he's not in the squad. He wasn't named as one of the Europa League players. It's hard not to sympathise with Ruben Amorim. That being said, give us your predicted 11. Yeah, I mean, you can see it on the screen there. I think almost all of it picks itself. Who am I even leaving out? Other than, like, academy kids. I know Collyer was back in training, but I can't imagine he's ready to start. Genuinely, Mazraoui, I guess, is he even fit? I think he's fit, isn't he? He's the one player that I'm sort of leaving out that often starts, and he could even come in for Lindelof. I'm not sure. Garnacho, another one who can come on. But I do think we need something off the bench. That's the thing. I get your point. Is better off the bench. Yeah. And I think Eriksen off the bench doesn't inspire much in me. Whereas give Eriksen half the game, bring Garnacho on second half against tired legs. And let's be honest, he can be quite selfish at times. His selfish route one kind of going for goal tendencies work a lot better, A, in Europe when there's a bit more space, and B, against tired legs where you don't need to pass as much because you can actually get past your man. Maybe that can work, but other than them two, I can't imagine yours is much different, is it? Well, show mine, because it's not. Yours. I think mine is literally those two changes. Are you gone for Collyer as well? I've gone for Toby Collyer. This is, I mean, no disrespect to the kid Collyer, I like him. But I almost did a little celebratory punch in the air earlier when I saw he was fit, because it was so threadbare, and it shouldn't be the case that you're relying on a player who's played about 12 games for United. But I feel like we need him. If he's match fit, he's fit enough to play. I'd expect the manager to pick him, because listen, Casemiro, I know he did okay in parts when he came against Fulham, but there's still a flaw. There's still flaws there. Yeah. You can still see it. You can still see he's nowhere near the player he used to be. So maybe the manager goes with Casemiro, maybe he picks Christian Eriksen. That all makes sense to me. But I think if Collyer is available, I'd stick him in there just for his energy and his legs. Yeah. Something that I think both Eriksen and Casemiro are missing. I understand your point about Garnacho. I do feel like he is better off the bench, but I think he needs to start. And I'm going to be brutally honest. Me and Ronnie were talking about this, and I think he posted it on X or tweeted him about that. Nothing offensive. Tweeted it. This might be the worst United attack I've ever seen. And I know people go, oh, Jay, we're hammering the players and all that. I'm just being, look at the stats. We don't score any goals. Those three, Xerxes are quite like, Garnacho are quite like, and Højlund who I feel sorry for. They've all got good qualities, but how many goals have they got between them in the last 2 months, for example? Is it none or one?
Yeah,
like,
we're gonna end up with, and this isn't like, again, hyperbole, in the league, it is going to be our lowest ever goal scoring season in the Premier League. So you can't, anyone who's arguing with you, maybe you could say, do we have to draw attention to it? But we can't not draw attention.
Well, should we just pretend?
Yeah, I mean, it is factually
the people that were arguing, Ronnie Twitter was saying, no, 74, 75 was worse. The thing is, I might look old, but I wasn't alive then. So in my lifetime, this is, I don't even think there's much of a debate.
It's not even close.
Right, literally.
Certainly in my lifetime, it's not close.
We've always had, even when I was a kid and we were struggling, Chucky was banging in 30 goals, or Mark Hughes was scoring absolute worldies. Like, we had good options. And post-Fergie, we've had goal-scoring options. You might not like Romelu Lukaku or Anthony Martial or Marcus Rashford or Mason Greenwood, but they scored goals. And between them all, there was always one of them who'd get you a goal. Now it's like we haven't got anyone.
I mean, you could genuinely put in some of United's backup third and fourth choice attackers into this team and it would massively improve it. If you swap those three for Januzaj, Chicharito and Nani, it is a better attack.
Yeah.
And none of those, Januzaj started because of a myriad of different issues, but Nani was a backup most of the time, or rotation. Hernandez was never United's starting number 9, and they would be comfortably better than our front three now. If you're comparing it to United, we've got a rich history of attackers that you're just going to struggle to beat, unfortunately, in the bad way. But yeah, I think I agree with Garnacho about him being dangerous, but I just think even more so off the bench. But yeah, could go.
I mean, it's a difficult decision for this manager, and he's just running out of options. Let's talk about Sociedad. Before we get into them, though, get your phones out.
We've had loads of these recently.
Good.
It's been great.
That's what I love to see. It's your channel. It's not ours. It's yours. Get your phones out. Film yourself like that in landscape for 30 seconds, giving us your score predictions, and send them to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. You will be part of the pre-match build-up on the watch-along, and we might even end up getting you in the studio. We've done that before with Tyler, I think, who came in. She's been in a couple of times on previews because she was sending us score predictions. So if you send us your score predictions and you can get down here, we'll get you on. Right, let's talk about Sociedad.
Yeah, they're doing all right. They're just, I think, mid-table.
Did they get battered the other day by Barcelona?
Yes.
Was it 4-0?
I think they did, yeah. They're not doing as well as they usually do. They've only won 10 games out of their 26 in the league, so they're not flying by any means. But they've got a couple of decent players, obviously. Oyarzábal's one that people know. Zubimendi as well. Both of them stood out in the Euros. Obviously, the former scoring the winner. They're a decent team, and I know that it's like this whole sort of like Spanish team is almost this kind of mythology to European competitions, and we have beaten Spanish teams in the past, but it is really difficult. And I think that the way that Spanish teams typically play is really, really, really hard for us to play against, because they play with good technical players, they play through spaces very well, they're not pressured easily, they're hard to sort of get at. Our press is shocking at the best of times, and they'll absolutely destroy us playing through it. We don't handle the ball very well when we are being pressed, and they will do that very well. And if you can just play some intricate passing, we still don't seem to know our defensive shape, and you can get in behind us between the fullback and the centre backs. You can get all kinds of space around our box. I expect us to have a very, very hard night, unfortunately, against a team that by their own standards isn't doing very well. But I just think the sort of typical La Liga style of play is absolutely United's kryptonite, and I'm really worried.
Barcelona style play. Anthony did well against them, didn't he?
Is that what he got the goal?
He got the goal, didn't he? He got a goal against him. Like you just see the headlines write themselves, don't they?
We could do with him now. Couldn't we? Anthony and Rashford, two of the most informed attackers in Europe for the last 2 months. Cool. That's ace.
Right. With all that being said, Joseph, give me your score prediction.
I'm going to go... honestly, I think we're going to lose.
Okay. It's a safe bet at the minute, by the way.
I don't want this to happen, obviously. I just think we're going to be shocked, and I think we're going to lose 3-1. Sorry to say it.
Sorry to say again, it's Moise. I tend to agree. I've been predicting losses quite a lot lately, but you know what? I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say that Patrick Dorgu is going to inspire the Reds to a comfortable 3-0 win.
You don't mean that?
Do
you really?
This is the moment, right? I want you to remember this date. What's the game? Is it March? What day are we? Where are we?
You're asking me to remember the date and you don't even know it.
It's March the 6th, is it going to be the game?
Yeah.
Yeah? March the 6th, 2025.
Yeah.
That's going to be a date that lives on in United folklore.
As what?
As the moment, the match when it all turned around.
Wait.
The Amorim. Do you remember, right? Sorry. We spoke about this, I'm sorry. Mark Robbins, 1-0 against Forest, yeah? The third round of the FA Cup, 1989-90 season, yeah? That moment.
I vaguely remember.
Yeah, that moment. You're going to give me some nonsense like, I wasn't alive, wasn't born, don't care, right? That was the moment the Fergie era began, yeah? That's when it all turned around. Sociedad away is when Amorim era begins, yeah?
Brilliant.
I have absolute faith in that, yeah? Good lad. Right. Whether you believe Joe and his logical thoughts or my nonsense, get involved in the chat in the comments. Send us your score predictions. We're going to be here for the watch along. Adam McCall is going to be joining us as well.
It's going to be good, that.
Make sure you check him out on the Sloppy Joe's podcast. You know where to find me. Sure. Make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. That's been Joe. I've been Jay. This has been a preview. Manchester United's trip to Sociedad. Thanks for watching.